I'm Pamela.
Standing in my backyard, I watched as the confident chatter of the real estate team died down instantly. A black car had just pulled into my driveway, and out stepped Dr. Olivia Reed, my property attorney, with an air of authority that could cut through any fraud. Behind her were Detective Ethan Scott from the Financial Crimes Unit and Agent Maya Lee from the State Real Estate Commission, carrying an official-looking briefcase. "Pamela, I see we have quite a situation here," Dr. Reed said as she approached the folding table where my dad, Robert, was sitting with a real estate agent named Grace Thompson and her associate, Ryan Chen. I looked at them all and said, "Everyone, this is Dr. Olivia Reed, my property attorney."
Dr.
"Reed, these people are trying to sell my house without my permission." Dad's face, which had been full of confidence just moments before, now showed confusion. "Pamela, there's no need for lawyers. This is a family matter," he insisted.
Dr.
Reed calmly opened her briefcase and took out some official documents. "Unauthorized attempts to sell someone else's property are considered criminal fraud, regardless of family ties," she stated. Detective Scott stepped forward. "I'm looking into reports of real estate fraud regarding this property. Can someone tell me who authorized the preparations for this listing?" Grace Thompson was the first to speak. "Mr. Anderson told us he had the authority to list the property on behalf of his daughter."
Dr.
Reed checked her documents. "Robert Anderson has no legal authority over this property. Pamela Anderson is the sole owner, with no co-signers, liens, or family trust provisions. His name isn't on the deed." The silence that followed was deafening. Ryan stopped writing on his clipboard, and a woman named Lucy from a staging company, who had been taking pictures of my house, slowly lowered her camera. Dad weakly said, "There's been a misunderstanding. I'm just trying to help my family." Detective Scott interrupted, "By committing property fraud? Sir, did you claim to have the authority to sell a property you don't own?" My brother, Mark, who had been so excited about moving into my house with his wife, Lisa, and their little son, Danny, finally realized the gravity of the situation. "Dad, what exactly did you tell them?" Dad defended himself. "I told them we were taking care of family business. Pamela doesn't need this big house, and Mark has a family to support." Dr. Reed cut him off. "Your opinions on housing needs don't equal legal ownership. Attempting to sell property without authorization is a felony in this state." Agent Maya Lee then explained that they had been monitoring Grace Thompson's activities for weeks after several families reported similar situations of unauthorized property listings. Grace went pale as she learned that she was involved in a pattern of inadequate ownership verification and that she had been involved in 3 other fraudulent property schemes in the past year and a half, targeting successful property owners through family manipulation. Looking back, it all started on what I thought was going to be a normal, relaxing Saturday afternoon. The smell of charcoal and my dad's special marinade filled the air, but I should have known something was off when I saw extra cars in my driveway. I had planned a family barbecue at my place, but it seemed to have turned into a gathering of strangers. Dad, wearing an old-fashioned apron, called out from behind the grill, "Pamela, perfect timing.
Come meet some folks."
I put down the coleslaw I'd brought and surveyed the backyard. There was Mom, fussing over the side dishes, Mark pushing Danny on the swing set I'd installed last summer, and several unfamiliar faces with the look of people conducting business on a weekend. Dad introduced Grace Thompson from Thompson Realty and her associate, Ryan Chen, saying they'd been very helpful with our family planning. Grace stepped forward with a professional smile and a measuring tape on her belt. "Pamela, your father has told us so much about you. This is such a beautiful property. The mature trees alone must add a lot of value." I looked around at the garden I'd spent years cultivating, the deck I'd built with my own hands, and the fence I'd put up for privacy. "Thank you. Are you here for the barbecue?" I asked. She laughed and pulled out a property assessment form. "In a way, we're here to help your family make the most of this wonderful space." Just then, Mark came over with Danny on his shoulders and Lisa followed, looking exhausted as she was pregnant with their second child. Mark said, "Pam, did Dad tell you the great news? We've found a solution to our housing problem." I was confused. What housing problem? Lisa stepped forward, one hand on her belly. The apartment is getting so small with the new baby coming. Mark works so hard at the advertising firm, but family housing is so expensive these days. I knew that Mark's job at the small advertising firm was an entry-level position where he often complained about his workload, while Lisa did some freelance web design to make ends meet. Mark continued, "We've been looking for bigger places, but everything nice is either too expensive or in a bad neighborhood." Then Dad had this amazing idea. Dad appeared beside us, a spatula in his hand and a self-satisfied look. "Pamela, it doesn't make sense for you to live alone in this big house. 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a kitchen you hardly use." Meanwhile, Mark and Lisa are cramped in that tiny apartment with another baby on the way. Family takes care of family, right? Grace joined us with a clipboard. "I've done a preliminary walkthrough. Your father showed me around. The house has great structure and beautiful floors. In this market, it could sell for at least $400,000, maybe more with proper staging." "Staging for what?" I asked. "The sale, of course," Dad said in the same patient tone he used when I was a kid and struggling with math. "Grace thinks we can list it next week and close the deal in 30 days. Mark and Lisa can move in before the baby is born." I was in shock. "Dad, this is my house." "Well, technically yes. But you don't need all this space. You're single, have minimal furniture, and are away at work half the time." He waved his hand dismissively. "Mark has a family to house. Different priorities." Ryan had started measuring my deck, and through the kitchen window, I could see Lucy taking pictures of my appliances. Grace added enthusiastically, "The market is perfect right now. Properties like this are selling fast. We already have a few potential buyers interested in immediate occupancy." I excused myself to get drinks from the kitchen. There, Lucy was taking pictures of my countertops and making notes about staging. She looked up and said, "You must be Pamela. I'm Lucy from Elite Property Staging. Your father hired us to see how to make this place more appealing to buyers." I was stunned. Through the window, I saw Grace pacing the backyard with a tablet, calculating the lot size, and Ryan interviewing Dad near the grill, taking notes as Dad talked about the property's investment value. I quickly pulled out my phone and texted Dr. "Read. Emergency. Family trying to sell my house without permission. Need help now." She replied right away, "Are they claiming ownership? This could be fraud." "Where are you?" "At my house. They've brought realtors, stagers, everything." I texted back. "On my way. Don't sign anything. Take pictures of any documents they show you," she responded. When I went back to the backyard, Mark was excitedly showing Danny the swing set that he thought would soon be his, and Lisa was discussing nursery plans with Mom. Dad waved me over to the folding table. "Come see the preliminary listing agreement. Grace has put together a great marketing strategy." The table was covered with real estate documents, market analyses, and a professional listing contract. Grace explained, "Based on recent sales in your neighborhood, we're confident we can start the price at $400,000. Your father said you'd be flexible on the closing date to help the family." I was furious. I said, "What?" "Mark and Lisa need to be settled before the baby arrives," Dad said matter-of-factly. "We thought about a direct family transfer to save on realtor fees, but Grace convinced us that proper market pricing would be better for everyone." Mark nodded eagerly. "This way, you get a fair price for your investment, and we get a family home we could never afford otherwise. It's a win-win." I looked at the listing agreement and noticed that it named Robert Anderson as the authorized seller on behalf of Pamela Anderson. "Dad, how are you authorized to sell my property?" "Family business," Dad said. "Sometimes parents have to make tough decisions for their children's good." Mom, who had come over with a pitcher of iced tea, chimed in, "You're single with no family responsibilities. Mark has a wife and kids. Their needs are different." I thought about all the mortgage payments I'd made over the years, the property taxes, the insurance, and the renovations that had made this house my dream home. Dad continued, "This house is too much for you. All the yard work and the rooms you don't use. Mark can really appreciate what you've built here." Grace cleared her throat. If we can get the listing authorized today, we can schedule professional photos for Monday. The sooner we list it, the better our chances against competing properties. Lisa bounced Danny gently and said, "Pamela, we're so grateful. This is a dream come true for our family." I asked, "Where do you think I'll live?" Mom suggested, "There are some nice condos downtown, more suitable for a single person, less maintenance, and closer to work. It might be good for your social life too." Just then, Mark's phone rang. He answered in a professional voice. "Mark Anderson." "Yes, about the house. We're finalizing it today." No need to wait. We're going ahead right away." He hung up and grinned at Dad. That was my boss. When I mentioned we might move to a better neighborhood, he hinted at possible promotions for family men with stability. Dad beamed. This decision benefits everyone. Mark's career, Lisa's comfort, and a good environment for the grandchildren. Ryan came over with his clipboard full of measurements. "Mr. Anderson, I have all the dimensions. Grace can list the property by Tuesday if we finalize the authorization today." That's when the black car pulled in, and Dr. Reed, Detective Scott, and Agent Lee arrived, turning the situation around completely. In the end, Grace Thompson's real estate license was suspended pending investigation, and her agency closed within a month. Dad faced criminal charges for attempted property fraud, and his reputation in the community was ruined. Mark and Lisa's housing dreams crashed, and their marriage fell apart under the stress and public embarrassment. Mom left the book club after members asked too many questions about the family's legal issues and moved to a retirement community on the other side of town. The most satisfying moment came when the district attorney's office asked me to speak at a fraud prevention seminar. "Your case showed a big hole in real estate oversight," they said. "We want property owners to know their rights." I agreed and gave the presentation from my living room, the one in the house that I still own, protected by my name on the deed and the mortgage payments I've made. The old barbecue grill Dad left behind sits unused in the garage. I bought a new, smaller one, perfect for someone who loves living alone. Sometimes, the most precious property you own is the right to decide who can enter your home.